Imagine the heart-wrenching terror of a massive explosion ripping through a quiet rural community, claiming 16 lives in an instant and leaving families shattered. This is the devastating reality that struck Tennessee on a fateful Friday morning. As details emerge from this tragedy at an explosives manufacturing facility, one can't help but wonder, how could such a disaster happen in a place meant to handle the world's most dangerous materials? Let's dive into what we know so far and explore the ripple effects on a tight-knit community. In the early hours of Friday, October 10th, 2025, a powerful blast demolished the Accurate Energetic Systems plant in McEwen, Tennessee, a facility dedicated to researching and supplying explosives for the U.S. military. The shockwave was so intense that it was felt miles away, shaking homes and jolting people from their sleep. Authorities, including Humphreys County Sheriff Chris Davis, confirmed the grim toll. 16 people perished, with no survivors pulled from the rubble. For those unfamiliar with industrial accidents, this kind of event turns a workplace into a war zone, where twisted metal, charred vehicles, and lingering smoke paint a picture of utter destruction. The scene at the plant is nothing short of apocalyptic. A smoldering heap of debris where investigators are meticulously sifting through every inch for clues. Right now, the cause remains a mystery, but teams from local authorities, the U.S. Bureau of Alcohol, Tobacco, Firearms, and Explosives, ATF, and other experts are on the ground, proceeding with extreme caution. Why the slow pace? Explosives don't just vanish after a blast. Damaged materials can still be unstable, posing risks of secondary explosions. As Sheriff Davis explained in a press briefing, his voice cracking with emotion, "There's a gauntlet of emotions here." He paused, throat tight, before urging the public to pray for the grieving families. It's moments like these that remind us of the human cost behind the headlines. But here's where it gets deeply personal. This tragedy has torn at the fabric of a small, interconnected community in rural Tennessee. At a vigil held that evening at Hurricane Chapel in nearby McEwen, residents gathered to honor the lost. Senior Pastor Tim Farris, speaking to a crowd where many knew the victims personally, captured the raw pain. There's a lot of hurting folks here, shedding rivers of tears. He highlighted how this sorrow presents a unique chance for local churches to step up, offering comfort and support in ways that go beyond words. Think shared meals, counseling sessions, or simply a listening ear during sleepless nights. Farris shared insights from his conversations with families, noting how grief evolves. On Friday, many were in a state of shock, numb and unresponsive. By Saturday, the emotions had surged. They're so overcome they can barely get the words out. As he put it, the full weight of the loss will deepen over time, hitting even harder when the initial shock fades. This progression of mourning is something psychologists often describe: initial denial giving way to profound sorrow, and it's a phase where community support becomes crucial for healing. One attendee, Pamela Jane Brown, joined the prayer circle for friends unaccounted for and their loved ones. She recounted how a family acquaintance passing by the plant during the blast suffered cuts and bruises, but is now mending at home. Learning about the explosion via social media left her heartbroken, yet the vigil fostered a sense of unity. It felt like the whole community coming together, truly uplifting amid the pain. To aid in identification, state officials deployed a rapid DNA team, a cutting-edge group using portable technology to analyze genetic material quickly at disaster sites, speeding up the heartbreaking process of notifying next of kin without lengthy lab waits. Meanwhile, around 300 responders, including ambulances and helicopters for medical evacuations, are tackling the hazardous terrain methodically. Sheriff Davis emphasized the uniqueness of this operation. This isn't like a car crash or a storm cleanup. We're navigating explosive remnants and human remains with the utmost care. Guy McCormick, a top ATF agent overseeing the effort, added that bomb technicians are first securing the area against further dangers from heat and pressure-altered explosives. The investigation could stretch on for days, weeks, or months. And ruling out foul play will take time, leaving room for speculation that keeps everyone on edge. Nestled in the wooded hills of Middle Tennessee, between the lifeblood Tennessee River to the west and the vibrant city of Nashville about 60 miles east, this area is dotted with modest homes occupied by what local Terry Bagsby calls good old country folk. Bagsby, a 68-year-old retiree who mans the register at a nearby gas station, knows several plant workers personally. His words sum up the mood. A lot of grief, hard to put into words. In close communities like this, where everyone is connected by family, friendship, or shared history, the loss feels amplified. And this is the part most people miss. While the immediate response is heroic, the long-term emotional toll on responders and residents can't be overlooked. Officials announced that grief counselors would be on hand for students come Monday, recognizing how such events disrupt school life and mental health for kids and teens alike. The vigil at Hurricane Chapel drew about 30 people on Saturday afternoon, filled with soft music, bowed heads, and tearful prayers. Some knelt at the altar, hands on shoulders in solidarity, whispering hopes for peace. Pastor Farris later reflected on the region's history of hardships, like a deadly flood years back, and called for prayers for the first responders. This work is exhausting on the body and soul. They carry it home and need our encouragement. Accurate Energetic Systems, headquartered in McEwen, operates an 8-building complex in the Bucksnort area, processing munitions and explosives ranging from bulk charges to landmines and C4 breaching tools, items critical for military operations. The company has secured multiple contracts with the U.S. Army and Navy, per public records. Their Friday social media post conveyed condolences. Our thoughts and prayers are with the affected families and community. We thank the first responders for their relentless efforts in tough conditions. The blast's force was undeniable. In Lobelville, 20 minutes away, homes trembled and security cameras caught the thunder's boom. Gentry Stover, living nearby, bolted awake thinking his house had caved in. It took me 30 seconds to realize it was the plant. Governor Bill Lee took to X, formerly Twitter, saying he's closely watching developments and inviting Tennesseans to pray for those touched by the incident. A Friday night vigil in a local park saw a small group holding candles, singing Amazing Grace, and praying for the missing. But let's not forget the broader context. This isn't an isolated event. The U.S. has a somber legacy of workplace disasters, from the 1907 Monongah coal mine blast in West Virginia that claimed 362 lives, mostly men and boys, sparking early labor reforms, to 1960s incidents that prompted President Richard Nixon to establish the Occupational Safety and Health Administration, OSHA, in 1970. OSHA's role? To enforce standards preventing hazards like chemical exposure or unsafe machinery. Ensuring workers go home safely. Here's a controversial angle that might stir debate. Accurate Energetic Systems itself drew OSHA fines in 2019 for minor violations related to protecting employees from hazardous chemicals, radiation, and irritants. Issues that, while addressed, raise questions about ongoing safety in high-risk industries. And get this, back in 2014, another explosion at a similar facility in the same community killed 1 and injured 3. Was this a preventable pattern, or just the inherent risks of handling explosives? Critics might argue for stricter regulations, while others see it as the cost of national defense. What do you think? Should military suppliers face tougher oversight, even if it slows production? Share your thoughts in the comments. Do you believe past fines signal deeper problems? Or is this tragedy an unfortunate accident in a necessary field? Your voice could spark important conversations on workplace safety.